I'm Narelle Todd.
And I'm Essie Susan Smith.
We are the self-publishing author and marketing duo that has sold over 2 million books. But we didn't start out knowing how to sell books. Fast forward past many failed promotions and a lot of lessons learned, you will see how we went from self-publishing newbies to hitting the New York Times bestsellers list and making the USA Today bestsellers list 19 times and counting. We created the Get My Book Out There podcast to give you simple yet effective marketing strategies to increase readership and book sales so you know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, as well as some tips for staying mentally and physically well.
Let's get started.
And we're here today to talk about marketing for worlds. So this is where you have, say, an author, usually well-known author, has created a world from an existing series or with some characters, and he or she invites other authors to write within that world so that those authors already have, like the scenario set up and there's characters and the town, the feel, that sort of thing is already all set up. So we wanted to talk about, the other week we talked about how to write in a world, and now we want to look at marketing because that's just as important as writing in a world. So Susan, you have a world, so tell us about it.
Well, first of all, you can tell I have a world because my hair is going gray. And if you talk to a lot of authors who decide to do this, they may say the same thing, but that's what they invented hair color for. It's kind of like at times, especially with the marketing, I think you're going to agree, is at times it's kind of like you're herding cats and squirrels at the same time, so that the cats and the squirrels are like dodging each other while you're trying to catch them. So it can be very, very interesting.
Indeed.
But writing in the worlds opens up such a big opportunity for authors, especially those that are just getting into writing, those that are trying to get a foot in the door, to get some visibility. It's a great collaboration where instead of just having your book in an anthology that's there for a very short period of time and mixed with other authors, this is one that is their book. And, it's always going to be out there. With me, I chose my Magic New Mexico series because I felt that it had the best opportunity and the world setting for authors of all different genres to be able to come in and write. And it would make it a lot more interesting for the readers. But it's all based on this mythical town in New Mexico called Magic New Mexico, where being abnormal is the norm. So you're talking about the fact that if you go down to the Crazy Kettle, that you'll have a genie washing dishes, and you'll have a witch that owns it. You may have, a troll next door but everybody sees them because they're glamored as normal people. So they have that interaction, but it's a safe haven for basically anyone who comes there. And so I try to create this same type of feeling with the authors that decide to come in and write.
Yeah.
And
there's also the science fiction.
It also has that science fiction element because mine originally started with Touch of Frost with the Star Ranger who came and landed outside next to Lacey, and Lacey was a witch and he had no idea. And she was a very good, very powerful witch. But the community itself, I think, is what I fell in love with when the community came together and they were like, don't mess with us. This is what we can do. And it was, I'm getting goosebumps now just thinking about it.
And of course, one of the benefits of doing a world is that you get all these other authors writing, so you get a different flavor of writing, but you also get to see all these different characters and how those authors interpret your world. I think that's fascinating, that side of things too.
And the readers, they're able to come in and they're able to enjoy reading about all these characters that are from my world and new characters that come in, and they're getting introduced to all these different authors. But what's even better is all these authors are meeting each other, and then they're able to come together. And through this network, power in numbers.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what we bring in, the marketing, power in numbers.
And that's part of what we want to talk about is the marketing. And our first tip is whenever there's a new release that everybody in the world, all the authors in the world actually promote And that's probably one of the things that we've seen doesn't always happen. Like you would think it's a bit of a duh, why is she saying that? That's obvious. But it's often that basic step that gets missed out. So yes, everybody in the world does need to promote a new release.
And it's so important because they're going to want the other authors to promote their book when they're released. So it's only, it's not take. It's a give-take relationship.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that, you try to foster in your worlds so that they know this is a collaboration and you're only as strong as your weakest link. And so if you have this author that's not contributing, then you need to approach that author and talk to them, because that weak link, it's not only going to hurt the other authors, but it's going to hurt them.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you need to look at this as a business. You need to do something and you need to contribute for any business to be successful.
And as an author, if you are looking at writing in a world, then you need to also consider what's the marketing component for that world. So you need to assign some time for that to happen. And, so you're going to need to be doing your typical promo for a new release. You're going to need to be putting it on social, in your newsletter. Mm-hmm. And if there are things you're not prepared to do, then, the worlds are not for you. So you've got to.
It's a great learning opportunity as well. I mean, when you go through this, and the way I release, we usually release a couple of times a year. So it's not overwhelming for the authors, but it's also not overwhelming for me as, hosting this world. I need to make it manageable. But, by all of us doing our part, you're going to learn more from the other authors. If you're doing these releases, then and promotions, you're going to learn more about marketing. And that seems something that, most authors, if you ask them, what is the bane of their existence? If it's not blurb writing or editing, it's going to be marketing. And so they want, help marketing. Well, if you want help marketing, you're going to learn what you need to do. That's one of the things that we supply. We say, okay, these are the things that, you need to have done. So it's like, oh my God, if I do it for this, and then I do it for my books, oh, so this is how it's done. Ding! Yeah, the little light goes on.
Yeah. And, just leading on from that, the next tip is to continue to promote the authors in the world, even when there's not a release. So, just keep sharing the love, because as we know, the more people see an author's name, see their books, the more recognizable that author and those books become, and that world becomes. The marketing side of things is not just about the new release and then you go away. You do need to keep it going in the times where there's not a new release. So every month you're going to need to be doing something in that world. So you need to factor that into for your time and into your marketing plan.
Well, it helps you because again, if we're keeping the world in the forefront of the readers, which is what you're wanting to do. So, it's like any back matter is a new story. It's a new release to a new reader. So you don't just write a book and then forget that you have it. What you try and do is you write that book and you use that as one of your consistent money makers to help you get through till you get that next book released. Yeah. And the only way you're going to do that is if you continue to promote it. And if everybody's promoting it, and everybody, maybe every third month, this author promotes you, but then this one promotes you on a different one, and this one promotes you at a different time, then you can have that coverage for that book every single month. So it's constantly out there. It's constantly in front of the readers.
Yes. And it's also giving new content for your own social media as well, because you have all these authors that you can choose from. And, if you promote, say, an author every week, just like, here's a great author, you need to go read them, and it's the book from the world. If you think of a world, there can be up to 20 or even more, 30 authors in that world.
Yeah.
You've got 20 to 30 weeks of content for your own social media just from that. So it's actually, I think it's a win for everyone.
It is.
To do that.
So it's poor business decision not to take advantage of all those resources that you have.
Yeah, definitely. The third tip is to have a common or a website for the world. Now, that could be some worlds actually, some of the owners of the worlds will create a website, like you have one for Magic New Mexico, which is dedicated just for the world. But if the world owner doesn't have something like that, then create a page on your own website, which is about the world. Once again, you're just wanting to expand out, put some attention, share a little bit about the world, put people's books on there, that sort of thing, so that you've got a common place where you can send people. And in a way, it's like a series page, but in this case, it's a world page. So,
and like you said, if it gets bigger and bigger, if you've got authors, like I said, who are interested, then, they may say, I'd like to write in your world. And, that can be beneficial for you, again, both marketing wise and financially. It's definitely a bonus for the readers if they're getting more great stories to be able to read, and your other authors, so it's kind of paying it forward.
Yes.
I think, worlds are definitely a great marketing tool.
Yeah. And if you also think of it, if you've got a dedicated page on your own website for the world, you're going to send people to that link whenever you promote the world. So you're not only promoting the world, but you're also getting some traffic to your website. And, chances are while they're on your website, they're going to have a look at what other books you have. So yes, it's a win-win. You're promoting the world, but you're also sharing some love for your own books as well. So
yes,
it never hurts.
More opportunity.
Yes.
Just think of yourself or the world like a big department store, or a big library, or a big bookstore, for them to be able to come in and browse. And that's what you're wanting to do, is give them that opportunity to browse. And they'll browse in the world, and then they'll browse outside of that world and see what other books are available.
Yeah. And just remember, probably if you're in a world, you would have signed a contract. Just check the contract. To see if there's anything that says you can't do any of those things, because we don't want you breaking your contract. Anyway, I hope these tips have helped you with how to market within a world. Yeah, as we say, it's a really great opportunity if you're a new author, a starting out author, and you're wanting to break into writing, you're wanting to get a sense of how marketing works, how other authors, work, because I think we can all learn from each other in regards to that. So yeah, get out there, see if there's a world out there. If you're into paranormal romance, science fiction romance, then you might want to consider Magic New Mexico.
Definitely check out the Worlds of Magic New Mexico. It's a great one to go to.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. We've got way more information we want to share with you to increase your book sales. So please come and join me at facebook.com. Get my book out there.